We were asked to identify the problem that the Drip and Dry laundromat is having, come up with possible solutions as a team using different problem solving methods. So again, what I sent you guys is kind of like a template. What I thought we should have used was the prescriptive approach, and it's for rational problem solving model. And I found that the definition is in the problem solving resource, and it's actually illustrated in the problem solving framework resource. Does anyone have anything in regards to that?
No, I agree. I love the template you sent. I really like the way you laid it out, so that way we could see the actual problem and your suggested solutions. I think you did a fantastic job.
And I think it's awesome. And kind of as I was reading through the different problem solving, I definitely think that you do need to find the root of the problem before you can find. Having this template is awesome to really go off of.
Okay. I apologize. I was trying to hear you, but it was kind of a bad connection there. I'm sorry.
Jessica, could you hear me? Or was it just a bad connection on my end?
Yeah.
It's breaking up a little.
Okay. So I guess we can start with the actual problem. What everyone thinks the actual problem is with the organization.
In my opinion, it just boils down to them being at capacity and not having enough room for all of the patrons. I think everything else was just a symptom of that. The change in atmosphere and the long lines. It's just them not having enough room.
I agree with that. I also think to some extent they're trying to cater to too many people. So they're trying to cater to the good coffee drinkers, the food market, and the laundry service, which is kind of impacting the number of customers that they have.
And so again, we did have a little background on Drip and Dry because their organization who keeps popping up every class. So the next step in the problem solving process was to describe the current process, and we went over that it's a laundromat who decided to attach a coffee shop, and then went even further and decided to add food. Okay, so that's what I thought the basic process. How about you all? Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely. And I know it said they wanted to stick to their main cause, which I still feel like I agree with Megan that it should be a laundromat and that maybe they are trying to add too much to it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's kind of, if we go back to the define the problem, that's why I thought of that quote that I got out of, it was quoted by Daly and the American Giant. I love that quote because it fit them, and it simply said, but every business reaches the point where it can run the useful life of the current assets and need to build a more scalable model. I thought that explained this organization completely.
For sure.
The next step was to identify the root cause of the problem. And I guess we kind of touched on that when we were speaking of basically they're adding too much. Yeah. Can we expand on that a little bit more, or that?
From what I think is they added the coffee service, but then they added the food for the customers that are using the laundromat, but then they also added the to-go option and the Wi-Fi option. And when I was reading through a lot of the resources, a lot of people were going in and potentially just ordering a cup of coffee and then staying for 3 hours and potentially not even doing laundry. So they're taking up a table, probably with 2 or 3 chairs, just for 1 cup of coffee. So you're not really getting the income that you would in a laundry service or a group of people going to socialize and be there for that.
Right. And a lot of the suggestions for small businesses trying to expand were to find their niche. And I think they did that with laundry, and then they tried to grow a little too much for the building that they're currently in, and too much for the staff that they have to handle the amount of patrons they're getting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the concept is good of having the coffee service for those that are doing laundry. I think that's
right.
good. Who enjoy spending all that time doing laundry.
Yeah.
So I think that part's good. It's just the customers that are coming in are not really using the laundry service. They're just there for the coffee, and I mean, it's great that they're having this problem.
Yeah.
Please excuse me. I was trying to jot down some of these things that you guys were telling me. I'm sorry. My 4-year-old pops up every meeting. I'm sorry. So with when we said like the facility was just not large enough, and they have too many, they're offering too many things to accommodate, is one thing I heard.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of a McDonald's with the free Wi-Fi, and they have the club who goes in with a cup of coffee and stays all day and sets up work. So that's kind of what I thought of. Okay,
yeah.
and our next, go ahead.
I mean, that's exactly, I was thinking of Starbucks, because I've done that before,
Yes.
where I've gone to work from the Starbucks because my internet was down and all I had was a cup of coffee. And I mean, I'm guilty of it, so I know it happens.
Exactly. So we need to come up with some solutions. I said if they want to continue to offer these 3 things, they have to consider like an expansion.
Yep, that was one of mine too. Or also opening a second location, maybe that focused more on just the food and the coffee that they want to offer, making that the specialty, and then going back to a laundromat at their first location.
So one of the thoughts that I had is kind of what Jessica just said, like really try to focus on one thing at one location, or even potentially like the 2 things, the coffee shop and the laundromat, because I think that combination is good. So really just don't try to cater to everyone in one location, just be good at one thing. Another suggestion would be maybe not how this would really execute, but having some sort of code for the internet. So if you're doing laundry, you get an hour and a half or however long it's going to take. Whereas if you're drinking just a cup of coffee, maybe you just get a 45-minute code.
Yep. I actually had the exact same thing written down, was, you know, the unlimited Wi-Fi for someone who buys a meal, maybe like a full meal, or limiting it for those who aren't purchasing much, or even giving unlimited only to those who are doing laundry and giving them that code when they pay for it.
So we're going to go with like restraints on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Another thing that came to mind is, what if they only offer food as carry out only?
Yes. Well, so people wouldn't stay. Yeah.
Just to limit it.
That could work. And then one of the other things that I thought about is this could just be a temporary problem.
Yeah.
It could die down. It could have been from some marketing thing, so it could really die down. So potentially just asking like friends and family to help out during peak times until they're either able to build an expansion or find a new location, but really taking that time and asking for that help rather than hiring new staff and then having to let them go.
Yeah. Or even asking. Sorry, dogs here. Or even asking current staff just to work overtime, or offering them bonuses for, you know, doubling shifts.
Okay, so
yeah, definitely.
what you were suggesting is that maybe it's just the adjustment to the additions. So is that where you mean about the temporary problem? I'm sorry, I was in and out. I was catching little bits and pieces.
Yeah, basically that it could be temporary due to a marketing thing. You know, maybe they had an ad that went out and it just caught a whole bunch of people's eyes and brought them into the store. So it might not be a permanent overflow of patrons.
Perfect. So we offered solutions, and now we have to implement the solutions. What will we do as an action plan? I feel, well, one thing I'm big on expand the location. If you want to offer all of this stuff, you have to expand the location. So I put basically it was limit the Wi-Fi, which we mentioned before, and basically have set times like lunch or carry out only, something of that nature. I'm not really for sure on that one. Does anyone have anything?
I think a good first step to make sure that it isn't just a one-time influx of customers would be to first off offer that overtime to their current staff and ask family members and friends if they could volunteer to help, just probably for a month or so to see if it dies down. And then if it doesn't, to really put into action expanding the location or opening a second location. But I definitely think that limiting the Wi-Fi will be a big part of that first step too, just to handle what's happening currently.
Kind of as a, I don't want to say quick fix, but definitely looking for the extra help for temporary, and limiting the Wi-Fi would be the first kind of 2 steps to help.
Yeah.
The only thing that worries me a little bit is asking the staff to offer, like, come in overtime, and it seems like the basic problem is like overcrowding. Wouldn't that be more people?
Well, one of the problems they mentioned was the long lines. So having
Okay.
staff to help to kind of limit that.
Right. And did I lose someone? Oh,
Okay.
so we got offer overtime to staff and limit the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say if the crowd continues, then the next step would be working on expanding the current location or purchasing a second location to focus more on food.
Agreed.
Okay. Okay. So to review and evaluate what we suggested in the action plan. So we did say that it may just be a temporary issue. So wait, offer overtime to accommodate the splurge of customers and see if it dies down. And then also put restrictions as in limit Wi-Fi. And then consider expansion.
Yes.
Did I get all of that, or?
Yep, that's what I have written down too.
That's what I followed with.
And I think we should add a detail that if they open a second location, that it should be focused primarily on food and bring the first one back to just coffee and laundry.
Gotcha. Okay, so if the second location opens, it should focus more on the food. So more of a restaurant atmosphere.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it says reflect and act on the learning. So they basically said that their main priority is laundry. I feel like with all these additions, that's being pushed off a lot. You hear about the coffee shop, you hear about the food, long lines in the food, but they never say too much about the laundromat. Um, I think one thing, since they're doing all of these additions, they have to maintain like a strict schedule and have their priorities in line. And this will ensure that one service doesn't overtake the other. So they need like a balance.
I agree. Right now they're catering more to the food and coffee section and kind of leaving their laundromat patrons in the dust. And I think that's what's going to be their downfall if they continue like this.
Definitely. I think, especially in Portland, where it really is a younger crowd of demographic, and they do need the laundry service in the area. I think definitely getting back to that focus of the laundry service and then the coffee while they wait. I mean, just looking at the notes that we were given, it's even saying that people who order food are neglecting to pick up their laundry in a timely manner because they're eating their food. So
yeah.
Alrighty. So, if I can repeat what you said, Megan, if you were saying that the noise was an issue, or
so when looking at the notes, when people order food, they're not picking up their laundry in a timely manner. They're taking their time and then forgetting to get it.
You're right. You're right. Well, I know it might sound silly, but is there any way, like when they do laundry and they go to order food, is it like a reminder process? Because at some restaurants, if you go to carry out and they might announce it on a speaker, order is ready for, or laundry is not ready for so and so, or maybe something just a reminder for them to come back to the laundromat portion. Just a thought.
It's almost like, it's almost like the buzzers when you're waiting at a restaurant.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. If we had an attendant maybe that was in the laundromat room and each machine was numbered, they could have a buzzer where like, hey, it would go off if it's done.
Yeah.
That would require a full-time laundromat attendant, maybe even more, because I don't remember how big their laundry room is.
I don't remember, but yeah, that would be because they only have like $38,000 to.
Yeah.
That might be 38,000. Yeah, 38,000 to really put to this, which that might be a bit.
Do you think the issue can be cross-training with the amount of employees, making them do all three services versus hiring more staff?
I think it would require more staff just because they're already struggling.
Right.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So the last step is, how will we present this to Fred and Carrie? So basically, they asked us to find an approach, identify a problem, and identify the problem, and identify some possible solutions. So we did all of that. So we got the problem is overcrowding, and the solutions, again, ask staff to work overtime, limit Wi-Fi, and if that doesn't work, then consider a second location for food only. And I think that covers it. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, I'll type this up, and do I submit it or do I send it to
You send it to me and I submit it.
you and you'll submit it?
Yep.
Okay. And the video thing, do we submit that last time?
That's going to go in the next project, the third project. We all submit our videos. But
Okay.
once it loads onto YouTube, I'll send you the link so that way you can submit the link.
Cool beans. Okay, does anyone else, because we basically covered everything that we needed to discuss in this project. Does anyone have any other suggestions or comments?
No, I think we covered everything I had in my notes.
I pretty much covered everything in my notes too.
Yay! Another meeting out the way. Alrighty, well, I'm going to go type this up and send it over to you.
Sounds
You'll
good.
have it before the night's out. I'm going to do it in a few seconds. Okay?
Okay, perfect. Are we gonna plan for next week, do we think?
Same time, same day works for me.
Works for me.
Works for me. Wednesday, 7:30. Perfect.
Sounds good.
Alrighty.
All right.
See you all next week.
All
See
right.
you next week. Bye.